Hello and welcome to Straight Talk Africa. It is Wednesday, June 5th, 2013. I'm Dimiake Mwakaliele in for Shaka Sali, who is on assignment on the continent. Hey, Mariama.
Hello and happy Wednesday to you, Demi. And hello to all our viewers and listeners around the globe. I am Mariama Diallo, your social media reporter.
Well, today we'll take a look at people with disabilities on the African continent and examine what is the role of government and you, the public, in advocating for their rights to ensure that they're included in mainstream society.
And coming up later in our STA inbox, you, our audience, have responded to our topic through your emails and Facebook comments. We'll reveal some of them ahead on Straight Talk Africa.
Well, we begin at Gallaudet University here in Washington, D.C., an institution of higher education, primarily for the hearing impaired. My colleague Paul Cisco has more.
Gallaudet's campus and student body is similar to many in the United States and elsewhere, except for the fact that it is the world's only liberal arts university for the hearing impaired.
And I go back every year, once a year, sometimes twice a year.
Dr. Isaac Agbula is a native of Nigeria who graduated from Gallaudet in 1983. Today, he is the dean of the university's College of Liberal Arts, Science, and Technologies.
The greatest disability is not being deaf, nor blind. The greatest disability is the attitude of society towards those that have disability.
Some history. Dr. Agbula credits Andrew Foster, Gallaudet's first African-American deaf graduate in 1957, with vastly improving educational opportunities for the disabled on the African continent.
And he went to Africa as a missionary educator, first in Uganda, later in Nigeria. For example, in Nigeria, we had only 2 schools for the deaf in the whole country. One was established by Dr. Foster, and the other by a Nigerian woman. Both schools maxed out at the 6th grade. Now compare that to the present day, where we have 36 states within the country of Nigeria, and I think each state now has at least 1 school for the deaf.
Wow.
And they are operated by the government. That's thanks to the good works of Dr. Foster, who then trained many people, many Nigerians, to take care of their own needs, to become leaders in their community, who would then establish more schools, who would build schools, who would advocate for deaf people. So now, I would say there's a huge difference, much improvement, but there is a great deal more left to do.
At Gallaudet, 95% of the more than 1,600 undergraduate and graduate students are deaf or hearing impaired. About 6% are international students. Agbula says on the African continent, opportunities for the disabled are improving, particularly in Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa, where the disabled communities are organized and assertive.
To be the countries with a good number of educated deaf people who are able to fight for those equal rights.
Have you any words of encouragement for the underserved, the disabled on the continent?
In short, I would say that your future is in your hands. You need to create alliances with society, with government, to fight for your rights, but it starts always with you. You may never fully depend on others to do for you what you must do. As I said, in those countries where opportunity has advanced, it's advanced because deaf people fought for it. And they fought for it with their allies. But the leaders of that fight has to be the deaf community themselves.
Like Dr. Agbula, Judith Heumann is a lifelong civil rights advocate and leader in the disability community. She says at least 15% of the world's population has some sort of disability.
Visible and invisible. So I think that's another important point, that people frequently think about disability as something you can see. But people who have depression, people who have diabetes, people who have epilepsy, other types, cancer, etc., they have disabilities. And according to the U.S. law, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, these people are covered, including people with HIV/AIDS.
Gallaudet's Dr. Agbula and the U.S. State Department's Judith Heumann agree. The disabled's greatest struggles are against society's discrimination and ignorance.
Working collaboratively, broadening the community of people with disabilities, helping people become empowered, people with disabilities and family members beginning to demand greater equality within their countries. I think that's ultimately what we're trying to do around the world.
Paul Cisco, VOA News.